Hello everybody, I am Paco Garcia from GMS Magazine, and today I wanted to talk to you about Conan from Modiphius, the RPG that takes on the Hyborian age and tries to tell you everything you need to know in order to play adventures in a land undreamed of. Well, an age undreamed of, but a land as well, never mind. However, this is a pretty hefty, big tome. This book came out a couple of years ago, and I want to find out if actually this game is worth the amount of money that you have to spend to get your hands on it. Well, I am about to tell you. Welcome to the GMS Magazine RPG review videos. Conan has been taken onto the world of RPGs in the past with more or less success, but it is safe to say that he's one of the most loved characters within fantasy itself, and the works of Robert E. Howard still carry an awful lot of weight among people who enjoy fantasy works. So going for a license like Conan cannot have been something that one undertakes easily, and the team that Modiphius put together in order to work on this game really speaks for itself. Led by Jason Dural, the team really made an effort in creating something absolutely stunning. Does it work though? Well, from the physical point of view, absolutely yes. This is a mega tome. This is really huge hardback, full color tome of about 400 pages. That's not to be sniffed at. Now, I have to say, I am not one for very big role-playing games anymore. I just don't have time to read a 400 pages book. It really takes a lot of time. It could take me easily a couple of months to do so because I have many things to do. So for me to go through the whole thing, believe me, it has to have a lot to offer. Does it though? Well, yes, that's the fact. It really does. In terms of production, the art direction is absolutely fantastic. It really is what you would expect from a book like this. From the beautiful cartography that shows just a little tiny bit of the world, to the rest of the illustrations that really get a very Conan-esque sort of spirit to the whole thing. Everything is just very well done, and they count with works from artists like Brom, which is absolutely fantastic to deal with. Among the many chapters of this book, you have everything that you need, from character creation to world to adventure to a chapter on help for the GM, etc. What are the mechanics like? Well, the game uses the 2D20 system invented by Modiphius. It's essentially a system in which you have to roll for skill rank, your attribute, and you roll 2D20s, and you have to roll under the sum of that skill and that attribute. You can modify how many d20s you roll by adding 3 different types of token or pool points that you have. Players have fortune and momentum, whereas the GM has the doom pool, and yes, that pool is used to make the life of the players harder. For instance, if a player uses 14 points, each 14 point is going to add to the doom pool. So without 14 points, you can add more successes, you can avoid complications, but then you're gonna have a harder time in your hands. So yes, they are useful. Yes, they have to be used. Yes, they're certainly an intrinsic part of the game itself. But yeah, you have to be careful. Now they do something very interesting though, and is that it creates a pretty confrontational role between the players and the GM. And that serves one particular purpose that I enjoy quite a lot, and is that the players have to learn to work together against the GM to some degree. Of course, if you're an asshole GM, then that's not good. But if you're a good GM on this game, you can do so many cool things, so many cool things to make really epic and very cinematic, for example, combat, exploration, or social intercourse, which is brilliant, because you would expect a game like this to be very combat focused, and it is, but it doesn't have to be. It really handles social interaction very well indeed, which is something that I very much appreciate, because it would be very simple to just reduce the whole game to a dungeon crawler and forget about the nuances of the complexities of the world that Howard created. But this system does that very well indeed. Character creation is complex. It's not particularly difficult, but it is complex. There's an awful lot to choose from, and you can either create the characters completely randomly, just throw in some dice and see what happens, and you can get some very interesting results, or you can choose, well, what character do you want to have and how do you want to mix things up a little bit. You have primary and then you have secondary skill sets, and depending on what it is, then you can get more results or another. You can spend momentum to make sure that some of the skills you get effects that will add to the game. So every single character is going to have its own thing. Although you could think, well, barbarian. Yeah, but you can make so many barbarians. So many different barbarians, and those effects that I was talking about, those spending momentum or fortune points on those, they also go on to even the weapons. So two people having exactly the same weapons can have completely different results when they roll their dice, and completely different descriptions of the scenes when they fight or use them in some way, shape or form. That is absolutely brilliant. That is really good. So yes, it is a complex process. You have to follow the steps quite carefully, otherwise it can get messy. But the update of the whole thing is that you end up with characters that have a lot of flavor from the moment go, and that is very good. That is excellent. The game has a number of professions that you can follow, and those professions, you know, and skills, I thought at the beginning, ooh, is this going to work out? I mean, we're talking about a world that's really old, that can be really chaotic, that can be really, I don't know, yeah, chaotic. Is this regimented way of advancing your skills and your talents going to suit and fit with the world? Well, yeah, it does. And it's not necessarily because that system would work with any game and every single game or every single Conan game, not at all. But they have actually managed to synthesize what's the spirit and the ethos of each talent, of each skill. The progression feels very natural, and it doesn't feel like you are really being coerced or inhibited, you know, just too driven towards one way or another. You still have plenty of chances of possibilities of creating something absolutely fantastic. So although yes, it's going to tell you, no, you have to go this way, you have to go the other way, but it doesn't detract from the freedom of the players to develop their characters in the way that they would enjoy the most. The magic system does something absolutely the same. It just works beautifully well, very beautifully well, with wizards being very powerful and magic being very dangerous, very dangerous. So you have to think twice when you want to have a magic user as a player, because it's very corrupting. It's just not the standard ooh, magic kind of game. Not at all. You have to be very careful with that. The whole thing, I mean, the Hyborian world, from this chapter on, and we're talking about half the book, okay? It's such a fantastic joy to read. It goes into so many of the details, the ethos, the culture behind the Conan books. Things that, yeah, if you're a Conan scholar, you would know. But if you're just the average reader, like I am, understanding how Hyboria works is excellent. is absolutely excellent. How every country relate to each other, what the traditions can be, why they don't get along, what the history is, where to go in those places, where are the right cities, how is travel managed between places. Damn, that seriously is so beautiful to read. I loved it. I loved every single second of it. It's great. It really is very good. This is an excellent game. From the relatively simple combat, the system again is not difficult. It's just a little bit complex. Once you get to know it a little bit, it just flows. Okay, it really flows, and it's not something that you have to think a lot about. You just roll your die, compare, and that's it. There are a couple of things with PNGs that you have to, with NPCs, I'm going from Spanish to English, from NPCs that you have to be a little bit careful with, because the way that this handles non-player characters is by simplifying them an awful lot, but it simplifies them so much that it can be difficult if you want to make them a little bit more complex, to escalate them, to make them workable. So you have to be a little bit careful there. There are a couple of little niggles, but seriously, nothing worth mentioning. It's just nothing that's going to break the game at any stage. So even though it's not a game for beginners, even though it's not a game for beginner GMs, okay, an experienced GM can get with this game without a problem and introduce anyone to it, any newbie player, not a problem at all. If you're a complete newbie GM, this is a massive thing. I would definitely recommend starting with something a little bit simpler and then building up from it. However, if you just want the lore of Conan, damn, yeah, get this book. By all means, do get this book. This game is definitely one of the best fantasy RPGs that you can get right now, just by itself. If to add, you put together the fact that Modiphius is really supporting the line very well indeed, with an awful lot of books that expand on what Conan is and what happens around the world. Damn, that can be a very impressive, really impressive shelf of Conan books, and you will not run out of material anytime soon at all. There's a quick guide that you can download for the game, which I thoroughly recommend everybody to read before starting a game, and there is a player's book too, which takes away all the information that's really relevant for the players and condenses it in just one thinner book, still just as well produced, hardback, that will really help everyone to get involved and hit the ground running when it's about this playing this role-playing game. So definitely a massive mega thumbs up for Modiphius on this game and how they are supporting it. Seriously, this is an extremely well done, well written, well supported and very well thought out game. Go for it. It's not a simple game, it's not a game for beginners, but once you get to grips with it and you enjoy the 400 pages that you will enjoy, trust me, yeah, definitely one to have on the shelf and be very proud of. Thank you very much indeed for watching this video. Please remember to give me the same thumbs up I've given this game if you have enjoyed the video, and remember to subscribe so you can get notifications when we upload more reviews of role-playing games and board games. And share the love, share this video so everybody can see and enjoy this absolutely fantastic game. Thank you once more for being there. Leave me your comments down there and I will talk to you very soon. Take care.